There was a time where blacks, there were successful black businessmen that came together, networked with each other, and they came up with the old concept of creating a sustainable black community where blacks will keep their resources within their own community and within their own families, and kind of, help each other out and build businesses that they don't have to depend on outsiders, that they'll only, keep certain things within their own community and build up their own community. So they had their own schools, they had their own grocery stores. It was all black owned, everything was black owned. Everything was grown on farms, sold in their stores from black farmers, and it was a very successful community. And you have, black entrepreneurs, and they had their families, and everybody was, pretty much doing amazing, doing great, being successful all together, working together. And then what happened, because I think this was in the 1920s, probably 1920, 1921, when the Black Wall Street was, building and becoming very successful. And what happened was, it was destroyed because of a Ku Klux Klan and the white supremacy, came and decided to destroy it. So they burnt down the stores, burnt down businesses. A couple of blacks were killed during that time when they were doing, burning down Black Wall Street. So it was a very significant event that happened in the black community. And I was just like, wow, I've never heard about Black Wall Street before. It sounds like, and I went and I looked it up and read more information about it, and trying to figure out, how were they able to do that in that time? Because in the 1920s, slavery was is ending, and blacks had a little bit more independence. And the fact that these blacks were able to network with each other and, created their own businesses like the way they did in that time, it's a very commendable act of bravery. It showed that, if blacks put in the time and work and stay focused and, connect with each other and help support each other, that you can create Black Wall Street, something like that, and be so amazingly successful. I'm sure they were thinking about, their children's future, and they wanted their children to have something in the future where they don't have to go outside and depend and slave away, for the white man. So that was their goal, to have something left behind, what we call in our church, a deposit. They wanted to leave a deposit for future generations. And I thought that was so amazing. And going back during the 1920s and then looking at our present time, I feel like there's no excuse for blacks not, trying to create another Black Wall Street. If you look at the times we're in now, totally different from back then. If they were able to, be successful and to be able to build up what they did at that time, in that time period, what is the excuse for us today in our communities today? What is the excuse? There really is no excuse. Blacks can definitely band together and create something amazing in their community. You don't have to go out there and worry about having to protest for equality in the white man's infrastructure, because you will have your own infrastructure. And that's what I don't like about the liberal media and liberals and, Democrats. They mainly want to keep blacks dependent upon the system. They want to keep blacks protesting to govern their government to change things for them. They want to have blacks going into the white college institutions and demanding equal rights, and to have more blacks and minorities doing this and that. And instead of them just saying, okay, you know what? They're not out for our best interests. Let's create our own thing. Forget about that. Let's build our own, institution. Let's network with each other and see how we can, get that back in our community, and just have our resources flowing in our community, and do it that way, and, become more successful within our own race, and start building within our own race, and having everything we need within our community, so that we don't have to go outside and have to protest and do all these types of stuff for the government or the white man or the elites, and going on their platform begging them to accept us. Doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense to build your own, have your own, do your own thing. You have two hands, you have a brain. You don't need someone to do it for you. You can do it yourself. You can grow your own food. You can educate your own children. You can teach your own children. You don't need the government to tell your children what to eat, what not to eat, how to spend the money, how not to spend the money. You need to be the one to be the enforcer and teach your children correctly, and have them grow up with some sense of responsibility. And I feel like if you revisit, those people, the Black Wall Street who started that, and you do further research into that and find out how were they able to do it. Now we have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more opportunity. We're a lot more free to be able to accomplish greater things within the community without having to go outside and depend on this person and that person to do it for us, to change laws for us, build, create your own law enforcement, so they enforce your own laws within your community. But, I feel like that's a long, long road to go, and it may never happen, because if you look at the state of the Black community today, it's just not going to happen, because even now it's not white people you have to fear about coming burning down your businesses and your stores and not supporting you. It's other Blacks. It's other Blacks tearing down businesses, burning down businesses. It's other Blacks threatening other Blacks. It's other Blacks. It's Blacks being fearful of other Blacks. It's, that's basically what's happening. So we have Blacks worried about white people and what they're doing. Meanwhile, the people that are really the problem is their own people within their own community that are just acting a fool. And then you have liberal media, and you have the media who give these Black people ignorant things to watch, ignorant things to view online, ignorant songs, and so they give you baby songs, baby terms, nays, and all of that nonsense. Giving you terms like twerking, and all you focus on is twerking and want to go out and twerk, and who can twerk better, and twerk. You're twerking all over the internet, have women twerking and shaking their behinds, Black women doing these things, and it's degrading yourself. You're degrading yourself, and they know what they're doing. They're doing it because they want to keep you on a lower, they call it a lower frequency in the brain, where you will never, go out and think, oh, let me go to the library and pick up a book and read a book. Educate myself and educate our children and establish better families, get fathers in their home, be more responsible adults, and stop being adults with the brain of a 4-year-old singing baby songs. Nay, that's a baby. Nay, hey, nay. So, I try not to get too caught up in the social media and the trending terms of social media, and because I know where these terms are coming from, and I feel like Blacks need to be more aware, become more awakened to what's going on and the attack that is on your minds. In my neighborhood, I live next to Caucasian, and we have Blacks and we have Hispanics, and every day I go out and I look at my Hispanic neighbors. They're like, their family, they have families living in one big house. All their family live together. All their children are there running around. They're out there right now painting their house together, replacing their roof together, cleaning up their yard together, doing landscaping together. And their children are out there to see this and seeing responsibility, and they're learning how to do these things for their own community. So that's what Blacks need to do. You can learn from these other cultures that come to America and are able to sustain a community within themselves and have their resources within their community and networking with each other and building their community, and their families and their children are learning responsibility, learning respect, and learning about becoming an entrepreneur, learning to become business owners, and becoming successful where they don't have to constantly depend on the government for welfare, for this, for that. Having children out of wedlock constantly and depending on it's just like I think the Black community really needs to find out what's going on, the issues, get to the root of the problem. But we don't want to do that, so we continue to perpetrate this stereotypical characteristics that we want to portray for everybody else to see, and it's an embarrassment. And then you have, you know, movie producers like Spike Lee, who should be contributing a little bit more better to blacks, creating movies to glorify Chirac. Why are you glorifying Chicago being called Chirac? Why are you glorifying the typing of blacks in your movie? Like, that's not helping, that's not contributing, that's not making it better. All these successful blacks that made it, we say that made it, there's a lot of them. You would think they would come in and try to network with other blacks and let's see how I can make this, you know, make this a black Wall Street. They have the ability to make a black Wall Street, but they come out of the black community, they made it, and they just like forget about y'all. That's just my take on the Black Wall Street. It was an amazing thing that happened. Definitely look it up, read up on it, have discussions about it. I think it was a phenomenal thing that occurred, and sadly the way it ended in that time, of course, it is expected, because during that time it was still, you know, some racism was, yeah, and KKK was very active. They just needed any reason at all to burn down something that was owned by blacks. But today, not so much the case. Now you have blacks doing it for them. So